On your Twitter, I saw you went to the State House and you support safe injection sites. One, can you elaborate on what a safe injection site is for those who don't know? And two, can you kind of explain why you do that? Because I've asked a bunch of people like, yeah, dude, what are your thoughts on safe injection sites? And it's there's a big polarity with the issue because some people think it incentivizes people to take drugs legally.
You're right. It is polarizing, and there's a lot of misinformation or not enough information.
Are there safe injection sites in Somerville?
No. Well, actually, they're happening by default. The safe consumption sites are happening in someone's basement or someone's bathroom, or people are actually telling their children or their siblings, do your drugs here, I'm going to watch over you. I'll have my Narcan at disposal in case something happens. We are in, amongst other crises, a opioid epidemic in the country.
Oh, yeah.
In Massachusetts, more than 2,000 people that we know of die of overdose every year. And in Somerville, 77 people alone, again, that we know of since 2014.
How closely is that linked with the homelessness in Somerville?
There's some of that. There's a lot of variables. I mean, sometimes there's a mental health variable. There's other, people are self-medicating and they end up with fentanyl and heroin. But here's the bottom line. The purpose of safe consumption sites is to reduce harm, save lives.
What is a safe consumption site? Just so people know.
In these sites, and they've been very successful in places like Montreal and in Vancouver. And their sites, they're buildings, they're spaces where there is a healthcare professional, and there are cubicles, and people go there and they take their drugs. It's either by injection or
with
orally.
Clean needles.
Absolutely. The sites also have referral services for those who seek assistance for their addiction. And the bottom line is they work. In all those places where they've opened these sites, they've reduced harm, they've saved lives. And all the data, and this is what changed me because I was totally against this a year ago, data shows that those who frequent the sites, people who suffer from addiction, who go to these sites, have a greater probability of seeking assistance for addiction than those who don't.
And we can't just is there a positive turnover on the assistance, though? Are these people actually getting better, or are they just seeking help?
They are. They're seeking help. But we need to do, there's not one silver bullet here. We need to do a lot of things right. I've heard from those in law enforcement saying, that's not the answer, safe consumption sites. And I say, you're right. But neither has the war on drugs been the answer. We need to, yes, we need drug enforcement. Yes, we need education. Yes, we need recovery and rehabilitation. But we need to implement measures that reduce harm and save lives. And in Montreal and in Vancouver, these sites have worked. It was a great decision, a really powerful one in Philadelphia, where a federal judge said Philadelphia can launch their site, and which is important because we intend to launch in Somerville. Again, the worst call, you often get asked in these shows, what's the worst call you hate to get as mayor? There's a few of them, but one is one I get all too often. It's from my chief police or first responder or a family member or a friend or someone in the community saying, someone just died. There's been another overdose in Somerville. And I've gone recently as well to too many of those wakes, too many of those funerals. And I can think of no greater responsibility I have as the mayor or public officials to promote public health, wellness, and well-being. And sitting idly by, maintain the status quo is just going to kill more people.
Yeah, I get it. You got to take action and at least try something. Yep. But on the other end, that would be taxpayers' money going to creating the safe injection sites, correct?
Yes.
So taxpayers would pay. And so I can see on their end why they would say, dude, why do I have to pay for someone addicted to drugs? You know what I'm saying?
So let me add a little bit more. Let me clarify. One,
does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. And we need to absorb that information and provide accurate information back. And when I had this conversation with a constituent last evening, because I've heard, well, you're just going to enable drug abuse. That's not what the facts show. Facts show, again, that one, we reduce harm, save lives. People seek recovery because they're getting referral services. Two, you're going to create more crime in the neighborhood. None of that has occurred in places like Montreal and the others I mentioned. And thirdly, I would say, as a policy, we should be putting our money into promoting public health and well-being and into prevention. I'd submit this is prevention of further addiction, prevention of death. You know, no one, we're not the same age, but I'm sure you got the same question when we're in the elementary school. What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know if you recall, but I don't recall anyone raising their hand saying, I want to be an addict. All right? They want to live.
I want to start a studio in the back of a random warehouse.
I can
in
see
Somerville
you
and
saying
interview the mayor.
I can see you saying that back then.
I get what you're saying. Could you also institute a policy saying, okay, let's do a safe injection site, and then we'll also offer some sort of mental health service and like therapy? Because who knows if that will be effective too.
Yeah, yes, we can and we will. In fact, we're not just going to, and we haven't fully flushed this out. We're in the midst of our due diligence, but the intent is not to just pass out flies, but really to offer that opportunity for counsel and services, because you're alluding to really the complexity of what drives, what are the variables that drive a person to end up being homeless or to being addicted to drugs. And this is where we need, as every individual, to keep open minds, open hearts. Let's look at all the information. I don't ask everyone you need to be on board in this right away. All I ask is please look at all the facts, all the data, all the information, because it's pretty powerful.
When you like walk into Union Square and you see someone who's homeless, do you like do anything? Like, do you like say, hey?
Try to say hi.
Yeah.
Hello. And just remember, it's a human being just like you and I. And
well, I'm the same way. I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
as mayors, like, shoot, like, what should I do right now?
here's what we do. We make sure people are safe. One of the things we did in Somerville is every police officer now is trained in mental health intervention. It used to be in Somerville years ago that we'd move those people along. We're not helping them. And not every person wants to seek, and not every person wants to go receive services or go to a shelter. And we need to understand that there are variety or many variables that are probably contributing to their position, their status in life. And we need to just continue to engage. Remember, they're human beings, making sure they're safe. They understand that we're there for them, that there's a service for them. We're willing to take them to those services. But we need to, I'd say that's what drives many people like myself, that we need a greater focus on mental health parity in this Commonwealth, in this country, and investment in those, and that type of preventive health care. Instead of stigmatizing people who are homeless or suffer from addiction, we need to pierce that veil first if we're going to actually want to help these folks.
Well, a safe injection site would also centralize or for the most part would centralize a lot of the homeless people and a lot of the addicts, correct? Kind of like what you'd see in like what they call methadone mile or meth mile.
Not exactly. I mean, someone who's homeless is not necessarily an addict.
I understand.
We may not even realize who is an addict. I mean, there are safe, a colleague of mine made the point, there are actually safe consumption sites right now all around us in people's homes, in people's basements. So these sites are run, they're clean, they're run professionally. There's a medical health professional on staff on site to intervene. It's not a very direct impact on the homeless situation. There are two different types of health consequences or realities we're dealing with.